Welcome back to the Dan Hurley Show. Do not adjust your television sets. This is not Dan Hurley. This is former coach Tom Penders. Coach, thank you so much for joining us on set. The head coach of the 1988 team that went all the way to the Sweet 16. And your team is going to be recognized on March 9th at the Ryan Center. And you're around the program a lot, but still nice to get that recognition.
Well, I don't know if it's nice for me, but my players and the program, I think, can benefit from it. Any school that wants to have a great basketball program should embrace its past. And URI has so many great things in their past in basketball, not just the 88 team. You go way back into the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and there's been some great moments in basketball.
Yeah, and we're actually going to start looking at the video right away. This is the run to the Sweet 16. You guys were down to North Carolina in the regional down there, and this was your first game against Missouri, right?
Yeah, I believe so. That was Kenny Green nailing a stuff and another stuff. He's one of the greatest players that I've ever coached, and in my mind, his jersey should be up in the Ryan Center somewhere, along with that fella, Tommy Garrick, number 22, who was a fabulous player on both ends of the floor. And of course, our general was a lefty, Carlton Silk Owens, the best point guard I've ever coached, and I coached a lot of them. You didn't worry about mistakes. You didn't worry about turnovers because our backcourt just didn't turn it over. They were fabulous. They made me look like a very smart coach. And of course, guys like Kenny Green and Bonzie Colson, John Evans, they were all part of it. And we were pretty much a six-man team in the tournament because in the tournament you get like 5 minutes during the timeouts. And our kids were playing at such a high level that we didn't want to mess with rotations during that tournament. But we had a deep team. Jimmy Christian, who's now head coach at Ohio University, was a key part of that. We had Dennis Tabes, a 6'8" power forward behind him. Like every great team, you've got to have a great, bench. And we had a great bench. We had great cohesiveness, togetherness. They cared about each other. It was just so great to be able to coach a team like that.
And I know you've said often that you think that was the best team you've ever coached.
Yeah.
You're on record in saying that as a team you thought could have won the whole NCAA tournament.
Absolutely. I had some great teams at Texas too, but not as good as Rhode Island. Our players were so mentally tough. That was the key. They just didn't think they were going to lose. They didn't care if Syracuse was in the final game the year before, and every one of those players were back from that team. We were up 20 points 10 minutes into the game. Our kids had no fear of anybody, and that's another quality of a great team.
And that's, you mentioned the Syracuse game. We're going to take a look at the video of that game. That was the second game in the tournament, right? And I assume you guys weren't favorites going into this game.
No. As a matter of fact, Brent Musburger and Billy Packer, who did the game, it was the national game, didn't think we had a chance. And you could hear it throughout the telecast. And right before the game, they came to my locker room when the teams were out on the floor, and they asked me what I thought. I said, "We'll win. I don't know what the margin's going to be." And they looked at me like I was nuts. But that's how I felt. That's how the team felt. They bought in. I bought into them. It was such a great marriage between coaching staff and players.
And your next game was against Duke in the Meadowlands. And I know you don't like how some things went down there toward the end of the game, but no, a great coach in Coach Krzyzewski, and of course, Danny Ferry was on that team as well. Yeah, Mike
Krzyzewski and I are old buddies. We played against each other in college. We coached against each other before in the East. It was a great matchup. We were down 22-5 early in this ball game. Tommy Garrick had 3 personal fouls on him. I called a timeout and said, "Tommy, we got here because of you. You're not coming out. You might be the first guy in history to foul out in the first half of an NCAA tournament game." Tommy went the rest of the game without picking up a foul. And right to the end, it was just a battle. Duke was standing by one more point. We felt like we just ran out of time.
And when you play a team like Duke, and I can tell this loss is still, it's with you, right?
I haven't seen it. I refuse to look at that tape. I used to have it. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe my son Tommy, who is a lot younger then, threw it away. But No, I don't like to go back over losses, but I have seen that Missouri tape and the Duke tape. Whenever I'm on the treadmill, I'll throw something in there, and I still have that on DVD form, thanks to Coach Hurley and his staff, because they took some of my old VCRs and made DVDs out of them.
You've had a lot of stops along the way, been very successful everywhere you've gone. Why is it that URI, you were here a very, very short period of time, why does it stick with you all these years later, and why is it important to you to be a part of the program now?
That's a great question. My mother was born in Westerly, Rhode Island. Every summer, we spent our summers up on the shore, mainly in Westerly, but we used to come up to Narragansett and spend time up there. I had friends and relatives throughout my life here. I went to the University of Connecticut, and back in the 60s, URI Connecticut was like Army-Navy. It was the biggest rivalry in the Northeast, and I was kind of hated here. Matter of fact, I was hung in effigy before a game, which in my opinion, that was a compliment because I wasn't that good. But the Rhode Island fans did not like me at all. So to come here, coach here for 2 years, and have an opportunity to coach at such a great school in such a great part of the country, I thought I was in heaven. I really did. This was just, I was so happy here. I always said that I was going to live here one day. And when I decided to retire, my wife and I talked about where we wanted to live, and there was no question. We wanted to live in Narragansett on the shore and go to Rhode Island basketball games. And that's just what we're doing.
And Coach Hurley now in charge, and we just talked to him about your relationship that is continuing to build here throughout this season. What have you seen from him that gives you, the positive vibe that he's going to be able to turn this thing around?
He's not a good coach. He's a great coach. I mean, his dad is a legendary coach. I first met Danny and Bobby when they were little kids, Rhody recruiting some of his father's players, going to some of his dad's games. And, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And as soon as I went to the first workout and I saw how he ran practice, I said, that's me. So many things, my father was a coach. We have so much in common. He never leaves any stone unturned. He's always looking to get better every day. Doesn't think he knows it all. And I didn't feel I knew it all until after I stopped coaching. It's just that type of business. It's a great way. It's not a job for Dan Hurley. It's a passion. It's a love, and you can see it every day. And you can see the way he coaches and the way his team plays. A lot of coaches would come in here, get rid of everybody, and say, I don't want to have anything to do with the past. Coach Hurley's taken the best players that were left over. He's gotten the most out of them, bringing in some new players to mix them, and he's in one of the toughest conferences in America. So many close games this year that are going to turn into wins next year. I know about the guys sitting out. I've seen them in practice, and if you go early to the Ryan Center, you can watch them work out. I'm excited about the future. I'm really excited because Dan Hurley is the head coach. He puts so much into it. He's into the games. He's got a louder foot stomp than I did. And my wife said, nobody stomped harder than me until we saw Dan Hurley in action. You can hear it whether the building's full or half full. And of course, Coach Hurley wants it full every night, and so do I. And that's what I'm telling everybody. Get your season tickets now. Get them, because next year and the following year, you're not going to be able to get a seat in the Ryan Center. And that's great for Rhode Island basketball when he can bring recruits in and see a full house. That's how it was back in 1988, and I want to bring that back. And it's just so much fun watching his teams play.
Speaking of the 1988 team, again, March 9th, you guys will be recognized. And does this shirt bring back some memories, or these colors? What's up with the yellow and the baby blue?
That was big. Kind of Bob Griffin, the football coach, started using that as another color. And when we ordered our uniforms, back in those days, you didn't get like 5 sets of uniforms like some of the schools today. The color came, and it was brighter than the real Keeney blue. But in those days, you either wore them or you went in I don't know what we were going to wear. We started winning in them. We said, no way, we're changing now. And when we played on national TV, when we played Syracuse. We got so many comments, and Sports Illustrated even made a statement about how our uniforms were probably the best looking uniform in the country. Of course, the pants were a lot shorter and a lot tighter, and our guys could really run. I mean, we had a team that just ran people into the floor, and an exciting basketball team too. So that brings back so many memories, and I know the fans are going to be able to get those at that game. I'm not sure the first how many have them, but that's one of the promotions for that day. It's not only going to be a great day for my former players, it's going to be a great day for Rhode Island fans, and we'll see a great game. UMass and Rhode Island. That's one of the oldest rivalries in New England history, and they beat us up there. We got to get them here.
All right. Well, we look forward to that on March 9th, and we thank you so much for stopping by. It was really great to catch up with you, and I'm sure we'll talk again in the near future. We're going to head over to the grease board with Coach Hurley. He's going to show me some plays. You're welcome to join us if you want. It's up to you.
Let me get my notebook out.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Once again, Tom Penders, his team, 1988 Sweet 16 team, will be recognized on March 9th against UMass. We'll be back with more with Coach after this.